I've made quite a lot of progress. I really have. You can see up there the difference between a couple months, honestly, of this carnivore slash meat based diet. So I completely cut off plants, like completely. Not a single plant, not a fruit, not a vegetable, no plant at all. I literally cut out every single plant and every single vegetable. There are a couple of reasons for this. The main ones are, of course, indigestion. I used to eat them in school. I used to eat a lot of carrots, a lot of corn, a lot of different vegetables, and I would always, when I was eating corn specifically, I would always go to the toilets soon after, and you know what I would do? Can you guess? I would shit out the corn. The corn. So I would see the orange corn in the toilet. Along with my excretion, there would be corn. It would look just like it did on the plate, meaning nothing had happened. It just went through, right through. It was fully indigestible. Like, no, I mean 100% indigestible. Because it looked the exact same as in the toilet as in the plate. The only difference is that it smelled a little worse. I literally saw them. Just like they looked at my plate, those orange, yellow corn. They looked the exact the same in the toilet as they did on my plate. The exact same. Now, not every food looked the exact same as in the toilet on the plate, but the other foods that would come out as diarrhea, they would come out as very hard excretion that would really, really hurt when you try to get rid of them. And then if you start to realize, you probably learn it very early in school that excretion is rest product, meaning you're actually pooing out a bunch, excreting a bunch of rest product. And that's just a sign of you eating indigestible plant matter. And don't ever fall for this shit where, oh, it's good for your stomach, it's good for your gut. You do know that ideal for my gut is 0 gram ever. 0 gram of fiber. Not a single gram is required, not a single gram is ideal. 0 to 5 grams, very low. Even 0 is kind of ideal. Because 0 grams of indigestible plant matter is ideal, because why would you have indigestible plant matter? There are some fruits you can use for hydration and stuff, but if you eat a vegetable, like seriously, a cultivated vegetable that did not exist for 50 years ago, if you eat that, you will have gut problem. You will. It's guaranteed. It doesn't matter your genetics, it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter what genetics a cow has. No, a lion has. If a lion eats the same as a cow, they will have the same problem. If a lion eats a zoo animal, they say don't feed the animals, because they know that it doesn't matter what genetics you have. You can have best genetics. It doesn't matter, because human body cannot digest fiber no matter what. You're not different from everyone. There's not a single human Homo sapien that can actually digest fiber material. It is impossible to digest it. You would literally need specific bacteria in your gut. You would need like 4 ruminant stomachs, like a goat, a sheep, a cow. You would need literally 4 stomachs in order to digest this matter. And even then, it's a bacteria in their gut. And we are destroying all bacteria every day. We're putting water on our skin, we're putting weird products, we're putting toxins, we're cooking our foods, we don't get the bacteria, we're afraid of bacteria, but we're removing bacteria, which is how we digest food. It's not weird that we cannot digest food. You're causing toxins in the gut, you are overtaxing your liver because you're eating food that you're not supposed to eat. It's very, very stupid Now, let's say theoretically, we talk about nutrition. Yeah. Of course, plants have nutrition. Everything basically everything has some kind of nutrition. Now, the question is not if it has nutrition, if it's digestible. Okay, nutrition is important, yes, but I would put it as the second most. The most important thing is if it's digestible. Liver has a lot of nutrition, but it's also digestible, meaning liver is probably the best food for human consumption. It is the best supplement, at least, for more nutrition if you're lacking nutrition in any way. Now, plants may have a lot of iron. Plants may have what people say a lot of nutrition. But when you look at the nutrient profile, even muscle meat has more nutrition than any plant, which is kind of funny. But let's say there is some nutrition in the plants. There's some vitamin C. There's no vitamin D though, and no vitamin A because beta carotene at carrots cannot be. It's not retinol. It cannot be, and even synthetic retinol cannot be digested by the body. So basically, you're forced to eat meat to get a lot of the macro and micronutrients. Saturated fat is a macronutrient that they really need, which you can't get from plants. And then you look at the cows specifically. They convert the grass to saturated fat, meaning everyone eats saturated fats. Every single animal in nature, meaning you should need saturated fat, and we cannot digest plant fiber. So the only way for us to get saturated fat is through basically raw fat or eggs or something like that. You know. But humans cannot digest it. It's impossible. As a first point. Last piece of liver for today. I had it in my hands, a liver. Damn. I have a lot of stuff in my hands after your liver. Anyways. If you think about food, I have yet to see a single animal that has cooking of any kind. I have yet to see a lion with a cooking pan. I've yet to see a zebra with a boiler. I've yet to see a single animal with a way of cooking food. I've yet to see that. Yet. Now, we humans, you might not realize this, you might have forgotten this, or you might just be fully detached from reality, but you are a human being. Which also means you're an animal. But you are doing something that not a single animal does, which is also interesting. Oh, but we are unique humans. Why would we be the only single creature that does something different? Oh, but we are different. We are the only humans. Yes, but why do humans get why do animals get human diseases when they eat human food? Because it's not a species appropriate diet. Now let me tell you something more. Human diseases are not human appropriate either. Because diseases are not good. Diseases are not... Oh, human diseases are what humans get. Human diseases shouldn't get... No, humans shouldn't get disease at all. That's my point here. You feed weird shit to other animals makes no sense. Because you don't realize that a species need a specific diet for their own cause. The first lie you fall for is that you eat a variety of food. No animal on Earth does that. Like, you're the only one. Oh, I'm a cow. Let's eat clover today. Oh, but I'm an omnivore. Yeah, but we are clearly carnivores. There's a reason why we can't break down plants, so we can't eat plants. Right. So you're a carnivore. Okay, then you're like every other carnivore. And every other carnivore they eat meat, mostly meat, raw meat, right? The lion doesn't cook his meat, and why should we do it? Oh, we're humans, we have evolved. There's no proof whatsoever that we even cooked meat. There's no proof that we did anything. You can probably see remains of fires, but what is the proof that it's from that long ago? Is there any proof whatsoever? If there's no proof that we ate raw meat or cooked meat, but there is kind of proof, because when you eat raw meat, you digest the meat perfectly. So naturally, you're supposed to eat raw meat. Wow. Even if we don't count that into consideration, even if we take not digesting a raw meat into consideration, then if you don't know if you should eat cooked or raw, what do you think you should eat? The natural way, which is cooked raw meat. Cooked meat is unnatural. Even for humans, processing anything deteriorates. It's not like you gain anything from the cooking. You think you gain nutrients, but why do you gain nutrients when you get rid of nutrients? This is a weird thing, but let's say you put your hand in front of a fire. You lose nutrients if you burn yourself alive. You absorb, this might be considered fair, but you absorb the nutrients of an animal. Yes, it's kind of like it's a natural leveling up. You eat meat, you gain protein, fat, and all those things that some of them we can't even measure. There's a lot of micronutrients we can't measure yet even, and we can't. So you can't measure all of nutrition. Well, why would you decide to do something unnatural then? Why would you literally go against nature? Why would you go against your intuition? If you were fed the cooked meat when you were young, maybe cooked meat has become a normal to you. But then you start to try raw meat because you only trust yourself. You realize that nature is power, and then you adapt to nature, and so you try to eat raw meat. You feel really good 2 weeks after. Basically all your skin problems remove even from cooked carnivore. Just going raw primal, going like raw meat and raw foods, you for some reason your skin improves significantly, your energy goes up significantly, you feel a lot better, significantly better. Now there's no studies on raw meat or cooked meat, so you can't say it's bad or good. Now you should use your intuition at this point, because what is good? Oh, but you say vegetables are bad. Oh, you say raw meat is bad. People say everything is bad. And should I eat nothing or should I live on air? You should always use your intuition. Fasting is good. Plants are good. Raw meat is dangerous, bro. There's studies and there's opinions on everything. You know what? The only thing you can actually use that would always serve you, that cannot be biased, that is always on your side. What is that? Your survival instinct, your intuition. Now, if you feel better now and weeks later, then you should keep doing what makes you feel good. I feel really good on raw meat. I feel quite good. I felt really good yesterday on liver. I ate some liver now and I feel pretty good, you know? But I felt better yesterday, so maybe today I didn't need as much liver. I probably ate more liver than I had to, because the taste wasn't as good in the second half of eating it. But your intuition is what tells you what to do. This is the weapon, this is the so-called tool that we have innate. What's innate is usually good for us. If it's natural and innate, you know, I think the scientists and the businesses knows that our intuition is so strong. That's why they make food that makes us addicted to it, because then our intuition becomes our problem, even though intuition is the best weapon that we have. It's a double-edged sword. It's so strong that the scientists had to repress it. It had to repress it, or rather, no, it had to use it to its full advantage, where it made addicting food. Sugars, they put a bunch of sugar on food that makes you weak, and so to keep a slave population alive, you make it super tasty to eat seeds. You make rice extremely tasty. You put a bunch of sugar, put a bunch of fake vitamins to appease the peasants. They know that there are less vitamins in it, and let's add vitamins. Let's add vitamins to the rice. Let's add salt so it tastes better. Let's let's put a bunch of butter, which you actually want to eat naturally, on it so it tastes better. Let's put a bunch of, let's drink a lot of milk in the coffee, because coffee is super dangerous, but milk we really want. So let's sweeten it up, let's put some sugar, let's put some artificial ingredients, let's put some extra vitamins and minerals so we get more nutrition from food that has no nutrition at all. And there's no proof that the added nutrition even works in our body, because as I said, it doesn't have basically anything to do with nutrition. It is second to digestion, and if it's indigestible, then you should never eat it, because it doesn't matter how much vitamin it has, a billion vitamin E or vitamin A. If you can't digest it, then it doesn't matter. Right. And if we go back to the topic of raw and cooked meat, if you need to eat cooked food, unnatural food, if you need to cook vegetables that are extremely toxic, then they're not food. You're basically eating something that's toxic, but you sterilize it with cooking it, and now you can eat it with less toxins. You still get toxins, because it's impossible to remove everything, because plants are beings that cannot defend themselves. The only way they defend themselves is by chemicals. They smell like shit. Every animal goes away from them. They smell really bad. You die when you eat the poisonous mushrooms. How do they stay alive? They are very toxic. They smell bad. They when you eat them, you can die. You can die by just smelling some plants, because they're extremely toxic. You do know that you absorb some of the things you smell. That's why perfume is super dangerous, because when you smell perfume, a small part of the perfume gets into your cell, and perfume is extremely toxic because it's unnatural substance. Anything that's unnatural, and anything that is natural and is unintuitive, natural plus intuitive, like very poisonous natural mushrooms, you stay away from them. Now, if it tastes good, quite good, if it's not toxic and it's raw, then it's food. And this is the category of fresh organs. When I ate a really high quality organ, I felt good. When I ate low quality organ in the supermarket, and today the organ didn't look as good as the one I ate yesterday, then maybe it has some toxins left in it, because everything puts basically all the toxins they gather around the organs, of course, because that's the kind of the organ that's cleaning the body, basically, essentially. All the toxin puts himself in the liver, so high risk, high reward, but then when you eat high quality liver, you get a high amount of nutrition as well. Alright, that's the second point. And yeah, I briefly mentioned it before, but cultivated plants are cultivated. If you look back 50, 100 years ago, watermelon didn't look the same, corn didn't look the same, wild carrots, they were white instead of orange, apples were a lot different from today. They weren't these specific pink lady, royal gala, they were basically the ones that you find in a tree, very small ones. Sometimes they're only like yellow small apples. A lot of these fruits and vegetables you eat did not exist. Or if they did, they looked entirely different. They had an entirely different structure. They were more fibrous and less sugary, and we know that if we remove the artificial sugar and the natural sugar, so even if, let's say you eat an apple, it's cultivated to have more sugar, meaning that even if you eat a so-called natural cultivated apple or a fruit, you're still getting a lot more than your ancestors got, meaning even natural fruits are unnatural, as they have been cultivated to be different. This is also why beef that is cultivated, those huge cows that produce more fat and more whatever, they're usually not as nutritious, and they usually can have some toxins in them, because natural cows in tribes in Africa, and natural sheep and natural goat is always S tier, always the best thing you can eat. The more you cultivate them, basically, there's not been a single benefit whatsoever since 100,000 years. We haven't made a single nutritional advancement in 1,000,000 years. When you realize this, you realize that it's the 100% natural, wild, fatty meat, megafauna, the mega big animals. You know that the beef, the wild meat, the 100% natural liver and organs, deer liver, deer, it's like the best food on earth, like those natural things, beef liver, all those things, beef brain, maybe, you know, animal brain basically, and liver, the most natural, like maybe gazelles are good. I don't know, I haven't eaten all of them, so I've eaten beef mostly. I will try elk and deer, and probably really good. But they are, look nothing like they did like just 100 years ago, and definitely different from 10,000 to 100k, 100,000 years ago. Nothing like it. So that's another point. Also, you probably heard about plant toxins. There are a bunch of them. I can name a couple, but basically there are way too many. There is oxalates. You probably know about kidney stones. Those are most present in like salad. So you put a bunch of salt, for example, on the salad. The salt is a neurotoxin, but the salad is the one that creates oxalate, which is very, I think it's, yeah, it's associated with kidney stones. So there is basically kidney stones from these things. There is bad teeth. You know, like the sugar in your blood, that has nothing to do with bacteria really. It is all toxins in your body. And that's why it's kind of funny, but to have the best teeth in the world, you don't eat sugar at all. And carbohydrates, they, what do carbohydrates do? They are sugar. So people who say they have a sugar-free diet, they're full of carbs, meaning it's basically sugar. Carbs in your body converts into sugar. Basically, you should eat as low carb as possible, as low sugar as possible. You should eat as naturally as possible, and then you don't get problems with your teeth anymore. Now, there are lectins that are very present in the shittiest food ever, that is bread, rice, and pasta, or mostly it's pasta and bread. You probably heard about gluten. This is a very common thing. Gluten, not a single animal can eat gluten well. Some people react worse to it than others. People have IBS or whatever. It's because some people are more sensitive. It doesn't mean that different humans can eat different food. It just means that different humans are more sensitive to specific foods. Not a single human should eat pasta or rice. A single human being. Because it is not made for human consumption at all. Like seeds, it is basically the most toxic part of the plant. It is like the plant babies. And as I said, plants can't move, they have toxins to deter animals, and seeds are the worst. Because, you know, it's always the parent protecting the child. It's always that way, whether it's an animal or a plant. That is nature, after all. So seeds is literally the worst thing you can possibly eat. There's a reason, like, it makes a lot of sense, really, because when I remember being sick, and coincidentally I ate like fucking rice before. Even though I was on an all meat diet, I ate rice. Someday I ate rice and I got sick for like days and weeks. I think that rice made me sick for like 2 weeks, bro. I was super sensitive, and it's even worse if you start eating rice out of nowhere. When you're on meat diet, you will get very, very sick, because you haven't adapted your body. You will adapt eating very bad. You can adapt eating seeds, but you might adapt to it. You might not get as sick as often, but you're still getting malnutrition. You're still putting toxins, even if your body gets better at filtering them out. But then if I eat rice for 40 years, rice won't have any effect on me. Well, you're still gonna be not comparable to someone who eats actual nutrition and zero toxins, which is meat, essentially. And the last point is, you look back in ancient Greek, it was always the slaves. Like, you think about this, it was always the lowest of low, the gladiators, the so-called population, like the low class, not the king and the nobles. It was always the low class that always got the slave food. You probably know about medieval times. You probably know about ancient Greek. It was always the slaves that were fed on grain and soy. Grain and soy was the biggest slave food ever. Prison food, military food, it's always the same. It's always water and bread. Water dehydrates your cell like crazy. Bread is literally worse than starving almost. It is literally zero at all. Your body can't do anything. The only thing you get from it is some simple sugars, so you can run your body maybe an hour or two. But basically, the difference between bread and meat is bread has basically zero micro and macronutrients. Meat has a billion basically a million, a billion, a bunch of micronutrients and macronutrients, what our body needs, which is fat and protein. You don't get any fat and protein at all from bread. The only thing you're getting is dehydration and emergency fuel. No nutrients at all. None. If they would start feeding them blood and raw milk, they would feel good. Now you feed them water, and then you feed them bread instead of steak and eggs, because why would you feed them steak and eggs? You don't want the slaves and the weak population to revolt, right? But there are a lot of reasons I've told in this video. This is why I cannot fathom eating plants. I'm getting indigestible plant matter, I'm getting no nutrition basically, I'm getting toxins, I'm mimicking slaves. And they're also, unnatural. Basically, they're going against nature, which is what I preach in natural things, nature, because I believe the closer to nature, the closer to health. So basically, plants are extremely counterintuitive to health, for all these reasons that I mentioned here in this video. That's it. Hope you now understand a little why I cannot fathom plants at all anymore.